So all of a sudden you see a transition in your child, one from joy, one who's always full of life, starting to change. So this is my son, he's our firstborn. And so you're really excited because this is the first child you have had. You know, he goes to school, he's full of joy, deviant, troublesome, so all the negative connotations one can find. And then at home, you see the child moving from that joyful little boy to somebody who is very angry, sometimes violent because he doesn't know how to react, cries at times because he doesn't know how to accommodate, and then loving at times because of the way they see things. This is why I say we are wired differently. You're thinking about all the things. Again, we live in a society which is driven by materialistic systems. So what is going to be the cause? What's going to happen with his life because the way the society is? What's the social reaction? What's the family's reaction? All these expectations. But what we finally realize is nothing matters except for the child, him or herself. That's the most important point. The first diagnosis was he needed to be medicated. The gut says, no, this is wrong. We went to a psychologist, an educational psychologist. Within the minute of talking to Bhishma for 3-4 minutes, he asked Bhishma to leave the room, and for the first time Bhishma actually listened and walked up. It's simple and yet not simple. He's dyslexic. And the good thing in Canada was that when we went to the school, they were accommodative, so they got a special needs teacher who would take him and work with him. And they also paired him up with a buddy. My son is also an extreme introvert. So I thought dyslexia and introvert were synonymous, but it's not. It is his character itself. And we have come to appreciate that and respect that as well. Then we moved to Nairobi, and because we went into the UN. We went into the international school, talked to them. They said, no problem, we'll support. 3 months later, the teachers were not supporting. They were becoming irritated. The tolerance level was not, because they were based on academic achievements. And this is why I think this network is going to be extremely useful, because we didn't have that. We had to search for ourselves. At that time, there were about 4 to 5 in the US. They did a test. They warned us that there's a long queue, waiting list. But after doing his test, they said this school was set up just for kids like Bhishma. And so he jumped the queue. And I remember the headmaster saying, we will produce a young, confident man in 3 years' time. They told us to pull him back 1 year. And we said, that's okay. I'm really happy now because he's 24. He's graduating in chemistry with a minor in bio. He says he sees the symbols. So you see, as they say, they are special. We have to tap that. And the unfortunate thing is we don't. But schools really don't understand the issue. And having special needs is not sufficient. So I'm going to talk here as a parent rather than a bureaucrat who says what's the right thing to do. All the time I hear in those discussions is, well, these kids have to socialize with everybody else, so we cannot separate them. No, I think having special needs teachers, by taking them out of a class in that school, actually does more damage than them having their own school where they meet with their peers and where the teachers have been trained properly and they feel comfortable. They have a safe space. Universities are worse. They don't even acknowledge this. So where my son went, it was a special school, special university. It was not specially for kids, but they had a special center to help. But again, the professors don't acknowledge it. I know, I was one. I didn't even know the concept. So when a kid is not performing, the only thing my first reaction is, they shouldn't be at the university. One of the things I think we should be thinking about as parents is, yes, in the short run, we might have to fight for this special support in schools, but I think we should start a movement to try to get, and then this thing called CSR for the acute dyslexics. So it will be interesting. This is why I suggested in my earlier talk there needs to be an institutionalized process of initial screening, the second level assessment, and then the tools and methodologies that we need for remediation. So my key advice is for the parents is support and not criticize. Love and respect. Love, of course, as parents. I don't see any other options. Respect is a difficult thing for many Asian parents. It seems like it's a one-way flow. I think it's a two-way flow. It's about the child, not us, not the family, not the society. It is always about the child. Everything else will fall in place. Thank you.